Hello, my name's Glenn Finlay from One Earth QLD. And One Earth QLD are the lead distributors for PyroAg products throughout Queensland. Here today with Mr. Andrew Glenn from the KDV Sports Complex. G'day, Andrew.
Hi, Glenn. My name's Andrew Glenn. I'm the superintendent here at KDV Sports. I'm responsible for the overall maintenance of the outside of the facility, which includes the golf course, tennis courts, outside landscape and common areas. I've been involved in the turf side of the industry for over 30 years now, and basically a majority of my time was spent overseas throughout the US, Southeast Asia, China, Eastern Europe, and a fair portion of time throughout Australia, mainly in the golf side of the industry, but also with the sports fields and throughout the construction and management of the industry. And since I've returned, I've taken over this facility, which is 5 years old, and we're basically, because we're in a sensitive location with regards to the waterways and the wetlands and the environment, we've taken an approach of trying to go 100% organic and limit the use of any chemicals or synthetic fertilisers.
That must have been pretty exciting and a bit daunting at the same time to be making that full...
Well, it was a challenge because in my industry there's more going on in the organic side of things, in the agricultural side and the horticultural side, that there's nothing really going on in the turf side. At the present time, we're the only golf course in Australia which is 100% organic.
That's the industry has definitely got a reputation for its synthetic inputs, mate, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, it's a challenge because they've got very good at what they do. So we've had to approach it on a whole different approach. And that approach we looked at is to try and replicate how it works in nature. Whereas instead of feeding the plant and controlling the plant, we actually re-establish the biology back into the soil the way it does in nature, and let the biology feed the plant and control the pests, control the disease. Because if you get everything in balance, nothing goes out of balance. So when we went down this path, we understood that we had to do a lot of research and where we could get this research from. We did a lot of research in soil science, mainly soil biology. We researched all the ideologies out there that are involved in the organic industry. You've got the Korean natural farming, technologies, permaculture, and just nature itself, and tried to reprogram our thinking. So we tried to look at four approaches. One was we had to make it simple. The second one, we had to make it environmentally friendly, of course. The third one, we had to make it cost effective, because it's hard to get people to look down this line because cost is definitely a large decision, not just the environmental side, and we had to make it simple. Our main goal to start with was to re-establish that soil biology and get that natural system working within the soil. So we had to reprogram our thinking to where we, instead of feeding directly to the plant, we feed to the biology, where the biology feeds back to the plant. We also realised that we had to use indigenous biology, so biology which is indigenous to this environment. So if you take it from somewhere else, for what we apply here won't work in America, because they've got different environments, so it's different biology. We'll base it on indigenous biology and a diversity of biology, because the more diverse, the more balanced you get out there. The benefits we are getting from that are very exciting. We're finding that over the last 3 years, with no disease in our greens, very minimal pest infestation, water usage is reduced, and the environment has benefited from that. The other benefit comes is there's no risk to our staff, no risk to the clients, savings on all the PPE equipment required. So it's all been a positive outcome.
So you touch base on the money that you can save, that you have saved through working with biology.
Yeah, well, also we had to rethink our methods, because we utilise the law of return, and the law of return is in nature when you never see any inputs going, nature's always green. You think, well, how does it happen? Well, anything that falls from the trees or the bush goes on the ground, it's consumed by the biology, and the biology take all that nutrients and return it back to the plant. In exchange, the plant puts out exudates to attract this biology, the biology it wants. With those exudates, it's a give and take. So they might say, I need some water, I need some minerals, I need some nitrogen, and either be fungi or bacteria, they will give that to the plant, and the plant will give back the carbohydrates in exchange. So it's a balanced exchange program. And so we had to reprogram our thinking, and its simple name is law of return. So we basically took all the catches off our machines, even our greens mowers, and all our clippings are returned back to the soil. So all that nutrition is fed back to the plant. One of the benefits we've got is, like on our greens, we have no thatch. And when you're using the synthetic chemicals, if you destroy that biology, that thatch doesn't get broken down. So it builds up. So they have to mechanically remove that on a yearly basis to reduce that thatch, whereas we don't have to do that because our biology consumes that thatch and feeds it back to the plant, which reduces our inputs. When your inputs are reduced, your costs drop. And on the other savings is that because we've got that balanced diversity, we're not having the infestations because there's no room for things to get in. There's no room for the disease to get in. There's no room for the pests to get in. One benefit we've found with utilising wood vinegar is it just gives us that control. You know, frequent applications, it's very economical, and it just keeps things in check. So whenever there's an insect infestation in the area, like they have armyworm coming in the area, we'll see the moth, but they just don't like it. Wood vinegar has its other benefits which assist the biology as well. We also work on a fungal basis, so all plants have a relationship with, or not all, but 99% of plants have a relationship with mycorrhizal fungi. And the mycorrhizal fungi actually connect to the root system, which draw up minerals and water to the plant in exchange for those exudates. So it gives the plant the ability to be available to a greater amount of nutrients, a great amount of water, because it basically extends its root system out. It also controls any bad guys from coming in and infecting the plant.
It's about 2 years, Andrew, that you've been using PyroAg, that you've introduced PyroAg into your program?
Yeah, we looked at other products similar, but it's been the best product we can find. It's the cleanest, the consistency of it is way superior than anything we've come across. So,
how did you come across? it?
We looked at different products, and it didn't take us long to find yours. I understood that the tar content is very important, that it doesn't have a high tar content, and that's pretty easy to see visually. It should have a nice, whiskey or bourbon look to it, very clear, no impurities in it, and we haven't looked back since then.
Awesome. Now we won't dive into what the other products are that you are using. I understand that you've got some, you want to keep that to yourself just as much as most of the food and textile producers of the country want to keep their little secrets to themselves. But PyroAg's input, working alongside those other inputs?
Yeah, well it has a value add to our product. So we don't have to use a lot of controls, but because we do the consistent applications, it seems to just keep things in check. But if there is any sort of slight infestation, and we'll utilise our organic controls, when we put the wood vinegar with it, it just seems to enhance it so much more. It enhances its uptake, it enhances its results. So we find it very useful in that way, and it's so economical. So it really reduces that bottom line in that sense.
Well, that's we've found that with a lot of studies that we've done, where PyroAg are continually investing in studies. We know that we can get results using PyroAg standalone, but all the studies have shown when you use it in conjunction with other biological stimulants that it kicks them all in. It's like, as you said, it balances things out, and which is great.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're constantly learning, and nature's been doing it for millions of years, and it's a very highly complex system, and to think that we can do better is almost crazy. We're always constantly looking and rethinking and reprogramming ourselves, and which I like. With PyroAg are doing the same. So constantly working together to see how we can adjust things and improve on things is another goal that we have.
One Earth QLD, OEQ. We feel very privileged to be a part of the PyroAg family. They're an Australian-owned, Australian-run company employing Australians at the forefront of new technologies in producing sustainable, environmentally friendly agricultural and horticultural inputs. The PyroAg group and One Earth QLD, we're all striving just to try and help reduce the dependency on synthetic inputs throughout those industries for not only environmental benefits but also for health benefits to humans. The synthetics throughout our food web, throughout our textile industry, they're all making their way into us, and we're super excited to be part of what is globally becoming a known issue that we need to take care of how we are providing for our families.
Something that I could probably inject into that is that everyone understands that we've got to reduce our carbon footprint, and what they don't understand is how much carbon is returned to the soil when you establish your biology. When you increase your biology, you increase your carbon storage, which has a knock-on effect of reducing a facility's carbon footprint. And with PyroAg and wood vinegar, the way they process it, they're capturing all the carbon from the product they take, and it's getting reutilised with the biochar and with the wood vinegar. And so the basic reduction in your carbon footprint, which is a benefit for any facility, it's a good marketing tool for a facility.
Yeah, that's a great point, Andrew, because in the processes, we're actually taking what would otherwise be waste products, and which would either be buried or burnt and released into the atmosphere, and turning those waste products into stimulants, into biological inputs that are returning that carbon straight back to the environment, which is a great thing to be a part of. The technologies that PyroAg are developing, carbon negative, they're not only saving those carbon exposures to the atmosphere, they're capturing them, returning them to the soil, returning them to biology, which is just one part of the key setups, but it's definitely something that as a society we need to be looking at. Our waste, the global waste is one of the biggest issues, and to be able to use those then to transfer that once again, more so from a food producing side of things, into what we're actually consuming is amazing.
Yeah, in the agricultural side, you got not only the problems with the soil degrading, but you've got the inputs into our food chain. On my side, in the turf industry, people are active on these turf areas. The kids are playing sports on sports fields. They're sliding around on the grass, and you don't know what they're in contact with. And I don't think they know the full effects of what is being put out there and their relationship to problems with kids. I think that's studies are going to find things out in the future that we we're surprised about.
That's a very good point.
And going down the path we're going, we eliminate any risk in that sense.
Yep. Yeah, you did mention when we were down here a couple of months ago that your crew, your boys, they're able to come to work without knowing that they're not going to come and be covering themselves in synthetic chemicals that aren't meant to be making contact with us.
Yeah, they're very good at managing the systems, and they've got a lot of protocols in place and do it, and if done properly it can be managed, but within our program there's no risk. There's no chance of any exposure at all. So it's comforting to come in and know that you're going in and you're doing something which is positive to the environment. You're not risking your staff or people. It's an enjoyment to come in on that sense. What we've found in the last 3 years or so that we've been doing it is when we take a soil profile from our greens, which are a sand-based green, and in one photo you can see that there is the sand profile. You can see there is no thatch in the top, which means that the biology is breaking down that thatch. There's no build-up. And then 2 years later, there's another photo which shows the same green and the same profile, which shows still no thatch. But you can also see the darkening of the soil, which is actually the build-up of the soil structure and the soil biology within it. Because we've got such a high content of mycorrhizal fungi within the soil, anything that's dropped on the soil will get consumed by this fungi, which will take the nutrients and feed it back to the plant. And we've even got a photo of a bird manure on the ground, and it's showing, you only get it early in the morning because the fungi won't like the UV light, but overnight, just early in the morning, it shows the fungi coming up and covering that manure and starting to break it down and take it back into the soil. We also have another benefit of we actually apply indigenous microbes and fungi into our wood mulch under our trees, and it actually works in a sense where it actually holds the mulch together, and we get a lot of flooding in this area and actually have a good benefit in that sense that it actually holds the mulch together, so we don't get this mulch washing away. But again, that mulch is consumed because fungi like the brown material, so it's consuming that mulch and feeding it back to the trees.